Welcome to the 76 Capital Leadership Series. My name is Wayne Kimmel, and I'm your host and managing partner of 76 Capital. And we have a really exciting show today. We have a great guest. But before we get to that, as you know, at our 76 Capital Leadership Series, we're all about bringing on the entrepreneurs, the investors, the athletes, and all of the personalities within the sports industry who are doing truly the next thing. And that's what we're all about at 76 Capital. And that's what this show is all about. And we're super excited to have, a great guest today. Also, just want to make sure to do a shout out to James back at the station, James Santor, at James Santor. Definitely follow James. He's a great follow. You can follow me at Wayne Kimmel all over the internet, as well as at 76 Capital is where you can find out about all the things that we do at 76 Capital. And if you're an entrepreneur who's truly doing the next thing in sports, we are interested in talking with you. We want to hear from you. Please reach out to us, whether that's on, directly via email or through Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn. We want to hear about what you're doing and what's next. That's what we're all about at 76 Capital. So let's get right to it. We have a great guest today. We have Rob McClanaghan, as everyone knows knows him as Rob Mac. Rob is a basketball trainer for the stars, for the top players in the NBA, whether that's Derrick Rose, Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, John Wall, Steph Curry, Kevin Love. All the top players out there have all worked with Rob. That is what is amazing about having Rob on this show. We're super excited to have you. Rob is also a 2001 Syracuse grad and the author of the book Network, training the NBA's best and finding the keys to greatness, and has an incredible foreword in that book by Steph Curry. So with that, Rob, welcome to our show.
Thanks, Wayne. I really appreciate you having me on. And, it's been a while since I saw you. I was hoping I'd see you more, but, last time I saw you was pre-pandemic. So but hopefully this ends soon and we can, get to hang out again.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you look great, Rob. It's good to see you. You look like you got a little bit of a tan going there now. And hopefully we'll be able to not be in a situation where we all get together again and get back to normal. But it's been a crazy time. Well, look, one of the things that we do on our 76 Capital Leadership Series, and what's so exciting about this is the fact that we get to talk with individuals like you. And one of the things we love to do is really hear your story, the Rob Mac backstory. So if you could kind of take us from the beginning, where you grew up, kind of what you did, what you were like as a kid, what you did, and then we'll come up to the point where you really, then went to become Rob Mac, the trainer for the stars of the NBA.
Yeah, no problem. So I'm from Rhode Island, Cranston, Rhode Island. Went to all boys Catholic high school, played ball there. My whole dream was, to play the Big East. I mean, I grew up watching the Friars when Pitino was the head coach, Billy Dunham was a player. Derek Coleman, Rodney Cycli, UConn, Chris Mullen, yada yada. So my dad had front row tickets, so I'm there every game, thinking this is what basketball is, right? So my dream was playing college, and I wasn't going to play Division I. So I got some D2, D3 offers, and I decided, you know what? I'm smart enough to get into Syracuse. I'm going to go to Syracuse, and I'm going to easily get on the team, right? Like, no brainer, right? So I get to Syracuse. I'm 5'10", 5'11" at the most, 145 soaking wet. And, they have tryouts. They're supposed to have tryouts for everybody. It's just a rule. You're supposed to do it. So, but I worked out with the team. I asked Coach. I finally got in touch with Coach Boeheim after about, 20, 25 phone calls, going to the office. What do you want? I said, can I work out with the team? And he said, work out with the team. We do everything every morning, preseason, 6 a.m. I said, I want to do that. And he goes, then again at 4 p.m. I said, I want to do that. He goes, doesn't mean you're going to make the team. I said, all right. So I did all that. He thought that was nuts and didn't make the team. And I said, what do I need to do, this summer? He said, put on 30 pounds, grow, and get better at basketball. So I put on 28 pounds. I grew about 3.5 inches, and I worked on my game every single day. And I worked out the team again that preseason, and he put me on the team. And at that point, I was the only walk-on, and he respected. He was a walk-on himself. And it's funny, but my whole thing is, we're getting into it, is a networking thing, as you know. And before I even knew I was networking, I was networking, because my whole goal was to coach at Division I college. That's what I wanted to do. And so I figured if I can get on this team, play or not, I'm still going to have that connection of what Jim Boeheim, the assistant coaches, the alumni players, what have you. So before I even knew what it was, I was kind of doing it, and that's what happened. I went to my senior year. Had a great relationship with all the coaches there, and then when the season ended, Coach Van made a call to Seth Greenberg, who was a South Florida at the time. I said, I got a guy here, young guy, persistent, does what he's told and works hard, loves the game, and wants to coach. Can you take him on as a GA or ops guy? He goes, stop. Never even met Seth Greenberg. He just hired me through Bayheim. So that worked out well. I didn't really like coaching that much after all that. And then, but the irony is being at South Florida.
So Rob, real quick, just moving back. I mean, you have such an amazing story, and you've been able to reach out to so many people. And that's why we wanted to have you on our 76 Capital Leadership Series. But going back a little bit, going back to the point where you're at Syracuse, you finally, what is your sophomore year is when you were able to get onto the team, walk onto the team. So who were some of the players on the team at that time, and what was your role as a walk-on? Like, what did you do? You probably knew you weren't going to get into games. At least unless it was some, and I'd love to hear when you did do it.
Yeah. Unless we're up 40, Jason Hart, who's now played in the league for a long time. He's now the associate head coach of USC. Ethan Thomas was a lottery pick. Damone Brown, Preston Shumpert, Tony Bland. We Sweet 16 twice. Ryan Blackwell. We had a very good team. We lost our junior year. It was our best year. My junior year to Michigan State. The year they won it. We played them in Detroit. It wasn't that fair, but we can do. And my role was, to make everyone better. And the funny thing is, with two of the walk-ons, and they play hard in practice, but they kind of didn't push the guys enough. They were kind of like, I know my role, and I was the opposite. I'm trying to play. I was a little cocky, and I would talk smack, and the coaches loved it. So he started playing me on the second team in practice, and because he knew I pushed the guys, I talk smack. If a guy talked to me, I was like, oh, it's okay, scholarship player. It just wasn't like that, and coach loved it. And by my senior year, I was actually playing in the first half of some Big East games, tie game. So it was only a minute or two to give a guy a breather, but I was still doing it. And my sophomore year, Coach Boeheim saw how I worked and how I helped the team, and he decided to take me on every road trip, with no walk-on that has ever done there at that point. So that was kind of cool, and I went from being potential just having a college life, spring breaks and all that, to really having no life, but hoop, but it was all worth it for sure.
That's amazing. It's amazing, and again, it's exciting to hear the stories because look, so many young people and people who have want to know like what's it like to be on a team like that, and as you said, you were able to prove and work hard and make it to the point where you weren't just the bench guy but didn't play, but you were getting into games your senior year that really mattered, right? And also developing those relationships. And I'm sure that's part of, I know that in the future of what you were able to do, but the kind of the relationships that you were able to build with the other players on your team and the respect that I'm sure they had for you as well.
Oh yeah, big time. I mean, and the irony is Ethan Thomas, who was a lottery pick on that team, he was older than me. He was a senior when I was a junior. I ended up training him 7 years later. So who would have thought his little walk-on that was his buddy on this team would be his trainer in 1 year down in Florida. And the assistant coaches were great. So I got lucky. I mean, Troy Weaver was the assistant coach. He's now the GM of the Pistons. In the past 10 years, he was assistant GM of the Thunder. I trained Durant and Westbrook, so that was kind of cool. Mike Hopkins was my assistant all 4 years, and now he's the head coach of University of Washington. And Louis Orr was there. Louis Orr became the head coach of Seton Hall. So I right away, 5 years after college, I had all these connects. I had head coaches, I had GMs, I had, so I had guys in the NBA that were my teammates. So I got lucky with that, and obviously I coached Boeheim. And it came kind of full circle. I started training all the guys for the Olympic team in 2008. Boeheim was an assistant coach. And it was kind of cool to all of a sudden collaborate with him, working with these top players in the world. And he's an assistant coach, and I'm there training his guys. He's not the type of guy to give me a hug and I'm so proud of you, but I know he was. It was kind of cool to come full circle and kind of work with him with the Olympic team.
Well, I have to ask you on that, Rob. I mean, what was it like? So the 2008, Olympic team. Maybe share with our audience here on our 76 Capital Leadership Series some of the players on the team and what you were doing as you were training them.
Yeah, it was more towards actually the 12 Olympics, and it was all those guys. It was it was Westbrook, it was Love, it was Durant, At that point, LeBron was on the team. Just in practice, I had full access to practice in Vegas, and then when they're on the road a little bit, pre-Olympics, when they travel to play exhibition games all around the country, and it was really cool just to not only train those guys, but have my head coach, Coach Boeheim, kind of peeking over and watching the workouts. And even he said, he goes, "Man, how did we all get here? What is this?" It was really, really fun because of all the guys that he coached. Some guys went on to play in the NBA, some guys went on to do other business things, and here's this walk-on kind of work with him with the USA Olympic team.
So you mentioned earlier in high school and in freshman year at Syracuse, you were 5'10".
Yeah.
How tall are you now?
Yeah, I'm about 6'2.5", 6'3".
See, he somehow Boeheim helped you grow, right? He
helped me grow. Yeah, I put on 28 pounds of muscle in one summer.
And
I know
so the
muscle,
your growth, that's amazing. But at the same time, at 6'2", right, you're training guys like Kevin Love and Durant, who are close to 7 feet, right? If not 7 feet each.
Yeah, Kevin is 7 feet. Yeah, Durant. Yeah.
Yeah, Kevin's 7 feet. Love's 6'10".
Yeah, about that. Yeah.
And so how do you at your height train those guys? And I've seen pictures and I've seen videos of you actually working these guys out. How do you do that at your size? And how does that work?
Yeah, it's a valid question. I don't know. It's just day one. I kind of started bumping them and hitting them, and it's funny because we played 2-3 zone at Syracuse, and I always said, if you can score on me, we got problems here. But yeah, I mean, trust me, after a day of workouts with those guys, I'm dead. I mean, my body was aching in LA after 6 hours of training because they do 1 hour, they're gone. I got another guy coming in. So I would definitely get in there, talk smack, and listen. I think the main thing the respect came from was because I didn't really treat them like an NBA player. I treated them like a friend, a client, but also someone that I held accountable. I think their whole life they had a lot of yes men around them, still do. Whatever they wanted went. If 5 minutes late, it's okay. And I was the opposite. And you would think maybe they would react differently. Like, who do you think you are? Kevin Durant. But they were the opposite. They were like, finally someone's treating me like a normal human being. Finally someone was saying be on time. And so the irony was kind of weird because, you would think they would like the opposite. Like, now do what I want. You're my trainer, you work for me. But they wanted someone to tell them, hey, man, you were terrible today in a workout. You didn't work hard or whatever it was, So that really helped me. And for some reason, that's just kind of how I approached it. And I don't know if the Syracuse days and how I knew those guys were just normal people. And they are. They're just normal guys that have problems like us and still go home and go to bed at night. And that's how I approached it. I didn't approach it like a client-trainer relationship ever. It was always a friend relationship that was honest with them, and they liked that.
Well, certainly, I think that's something that's really important. I mean, it's one of the things that, whether that's in sports or in business, look, we're all human beings, right? I mean, whether it's, an entrepreneur who's trying to build his business into $1 billion company and has an opportunity to talk with a billionaire, they're human beings too, right? I mean, whether it's a 7-foot NBA player like Durant who can do it all, or it's just he's a person too, right? And I think that's, if you're authentic and if you're able to really talk with them as if they're, as you said, like human beings, and it's the way you develop relationships.
Exactly. Yeah. And then other guys that weren't at their level, playing wise, they might have been a 6th man or a 10th man or whatever it is. And they were the opposite, and they were like, I'm going to do what I want. I'm going to show up whenever I want. I'm not going to work. I'm going to work hard if I want. I'm going to stay out late if I want. And I was like, that's fine. But I'm just telling you what these guys do. And those guys end up being, maybe out of the league or making, $3 million instead of, they could have made 20, whatever it was. And then you saw the standard of players like the Kevin Durant of Steph Curry's the world, who came in every single day and got after it. And if they were going to be late, they'd call me and sorry, 5 minutes late. The guys would just show up 9:30 instead of 9 without even giving me a heads up. And those guys aren't in the league anymore. So it's not a coincidence.
Well, we're here with Rob McClanaghan, as everyone knows. Rob Mac, he's at Rob Mac NBA on Twitter. Definitely a great follow. Please reach out to him on social media and reach out to him. He's the basketball trainer for guys like Derrick Rose, Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, John Wall, Steph Curry, Kevin Love. I mean, all the top players, as well as the author of Network. And one of the things I think, Rob, I'd love to get into is you think about all of these greats that whether it's the Steph Currys, the Kevin Durants, they all have, I think you would say, some similar traits. What are some of the things that they all seem to do or have that kind of make them successful and get to the level that they're all at today?
Yeah, one thing is they invest in their craft. By that I mean they have a nutritionist, they have a strength coach, they have a guy like me, they have people around them that are helping them do the stuff with their body, and they invest in that. You see other guys that don't want to invest in that, but they want to go buy 3 cars, or they want to go buy a 10 private flights, whatever it is, and they don't want to invest in that. And early on, I saw that, and LeBron came out a few years ago saying he spends $2 million a year on his body. But that's made him $1 billion. Russell Wilson about $1 million. Kevin Love, I don't know what it is, but I know a good amount. And that's important. And I always say my main motto is when these guys come in the league, you're not just a pro of basketball anymore. Now you have to live like a pro. So it's not just working out with me, lifting, doing yoga. That's not it. It's getting the right amount of sleep. It's who you're putting around your circle. It's what are you doing at night? It's what are you eating at night? How late are you eating? What are you supposed to eat? How you take care of your body? You have to live like a pro, and that's just what it is. You just work out with me, and you go lift, and that's it. And then, you do whatever you want till 4 in the morning. You get up at night. It's not going to sleep till noon, whatever it is. You can't do that, and it's a sacrifice. That's what it is, but that's what you chose to do. So those guys that have been so successful in that is what I've seen. And I have a great story about Kevin Durant that's in the book. We flew from LA to Paris for a Nike trip, and we had to stop and refuel, I think in New York, Teterboro or something, and something was wrong with the plane, so we had to get a new plane. There was an 8-hour delay to defeat the whole purpose of the private plane. So we got a new plane, waited for it, and we landed in Paris around 11 p.m. local time. And we're wide awake because we're like in LA time, we just slept or whatever, so we're like wide awake. And Kevin says to me on the little Sprinter bus, he says, "Hey, let's get a workout in." I said, "No problem, 9 a.m. tomorrow. We got a gym." "No, right now." I'm like, "Dude, we just landed. The Nike people are going to be so tired." He's like, "Dude, I'm wide awake. I want to get a workout in." I'm like, "Okay." So I told the Nike people, I'm like, "You better get your guy a gym. He wants to work out right now." They're like, "You got to be kidding me." So we found a gym. I think it was Tony Parker's like club team gym. And, when he was a kid or whatever. So we ended up finding a gym. And I told the story before. It's one of the best workouts I've ever seen in my life from anybody. And we just went an hour and 15 minutes, hard as hell, right off the plane in Paris. He didn't miss a shot. And that workout did not make him a better NBA player, that one workout. But when you do that every single week, every single day of your life, it's going to add up, and like that workout wouldn't have meant anything, but he does that every single day, and other guys would be like, "Paris, we just landed in Paris, we private jet, let's go party." You know what I mean? Like, so that's just who he is. And there are a lot of times I had to beg Kevin to take a day off. Please, like, tone it down. You're going too hard, going too much. And I've always said I'd rather turn a guy down, turn him up. But that's a good example of why he's one of the best of all time.
That's an incredible.
He's never satisfied.
That's amazing. I mean, so kind of breaking it down and maybe a little bit further, like what does it mean? What does it mean? You talk about an hour and 15-minute workout. What happens? Like the guy shows up, and you roll the ball out, and then what are some of the things that you do with these guys?
Yeah, we get a quick warm up in, and we start a little light. But a guy like Kevin, he goes from 0 to 100 really fast. Other guys they'll need 15 minutes to get loose, get going a little bit, but he starts off right away. And we just, I'll pick kind of what we're gonna work on that day, whether it's transition stuff or post stuff or 3-point shooting stuff, off the dribble stuff, and we just go. And it's a guy like that, and it's extremely intense. And sometimes Kevin will go 15 minutes, no water break. Just bang, bang, bang. Rob, what's next? And he's so efficient in the workout. Usually every drill, I'll say make 4 or 5 shots per drill. And sometimes, most of the time it's 4 for 4. So it's like I got to be on my stuff. And next drill. Other guys, I have 8, 9 shots to figure out the next drill. But with him, it's like, what's next? And he just wants to get in, get out. And that's what I love. My workouts are not 3 hours long, not 4 hours long. I love the guys that say, "Oh, yeah, man, I'm a gym rat. I was in the gym 6, 7 hours." And I'm like, could be working that hard if you're in the gym that long. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, everybody's different, but I try to make it like a game, like a half hour hard, like a 3-minute water break, like a halftime, and then 30 minutes to end it. And I always finish the workout much harder than I started. That last 5 minutes, 7 minutes is much harder than the beginning of the workout. And I kind of approach it like a fourth quarter. If you can't give me those last 5, 7 minutes now in a workout by yourself, how are you going to do it in Game 6 of the finals? With 4 minutes left. So that's kind of the way I always finish much harder than I started.
And that's a really incredible to hear. I mean, and what about from a competitive perspective? I mean, do how competitive are when you're dealing with someone like, I mean, you look at a Russell Westbrook, right? I mean, you kind of you almost see like on his face, like he's just gonna dunk on you, right? I mean, like how competitive are these guys?
Oh, it's unbelievable. I mean, I was very, very lucky to have Westbrook and D Rose work out together for a good 3 or 4 straight summers. And most of the time Kevin Love actually be in that workout too. Um, and it's funny when Derek and Russell worked out together. They were very good friends, and we always hung out after the workout, had dinner at night. But within the workout, it would be cool. And they walk in the gym, "What's up, man?" But you could see like Derek could make 3 or 4 in a row. Russell would be like, "Okay." He made 3 or 4 in a row. Then I do something at the rim, and I just finish at the rim, dunk, layup, whatever you want. And Derek would do something crazy, and Russ would be like, "Oh, okay." And then he would try to show him up. It became, I would say, like it became a workout and a competition within the workout, like a very subtle one. And those are some of the best workouts I've ever been involved in my life. Guys like that, because it was nonstop. And if Derek was, tired one morning, Russell would show up and Russell would go hard, and Derek would be like, well, I got to go hard now. It would rise him up, and vice versa. Russell maybe was tired that morning, just got off a flight or something. Derek was high energy. Russell was like, man, I got to pick it up. It's going to make me look stupid, So it was really good to have those guys work together because they definitely push each other and got each other better.
Well, we've certainly been saying, I've said, working out the guys, but you also worked out a number of professional female and women basketball players as well, right?
Yeah.
And who are some of the women that you've worked with and helped their game?
Yeah, Candace Parker. When she had her baby, about 2 weeks after she had a baby, she said, "I want to get back." This was like May, and 10 years ago or something. I said, "I don't know the playbook for this. I never worked a woman out 2 weeks after she had a baby, especially one that's 6'4" and athletic. I was scared to death, with the hips and all that stuff. I didn't know, and so just work me out, And I met her through her husband at the time, Sheldon Williams, who was in Atlanta Hawks, 4th pick of the draft or something, and so I started working her out every day, and it was a nice 6 week stint of just getting her ready for the season. And after 6 weeks, she was great. And the funny thing was, she was out, obviously very tired during the workout. So she'd have the baby there in the little carriage in the bleachers. So every time she got tired, instead of being like, "I'm tired, I need a water break," she'd be like, "Oh, let me go check on Layla really quick." I'm like, "She's fine. She's not crying. What are you talking about?" She's like, "Let me check on her." I'm like, "All right, I'm not gonna say none of that." So, and then she hired me the next 3 or 4 years, and we had a great run. And then Skylar Diggins a good amount, and then actually recently AZ Fudd, who I think is, could be one of the best players we've ever seen. I know she's a senior in high school, but I've never seen someone quite like her in my life. She's committed to UConn, and she was Gatorade Player of the Year as a sophomore 2 years ago nationally. So yeah, listen, women are great to work with because they listen right away. They're so fundamentally sound. They don't talk back. So I love working with women and girls.
That's awesome. And what's it been like, Rob, during this, this time? We were in the middle of COVID and working out and training. I mean, how's that been for you as a trainer? Have you had to do things virtually? Have you, what's it been like?
Yeah, definitely different. Definitely had, I won't say a summer off, but it was definitely, instead of guys coming to me in LA, 20 players and just banging out 3 months, they were staying home, wherever they were from originally. So I'd have to go to New Orleans, to Cleveland, to New York, wherever it was, Florida, to see these guys. So it was much more sporadic, 5 days here and there. Definitely wasn't doing as much training as I would have ordinarily, like anybody else in their jobs. So yeah, it was much more of an effort, much more of the unknown, and I didn't really start training guys, really till July, August, which usually it's May. There's no pre-draft last year because everything was virtual. So even this year, we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I don't know what the NBA teams are going to allow. I don't know if they're going to have a pre-draft process this year. Obviously, it's not going to be a summer league again in Vegas. But I think the goal is to get back to normal schedule after this year. So I think Adam Silver wants to have the finals. I want to say July, and start up again. Have the Olympics and start up again in October. I think that's the goal. It's going to be tough. It's going to be scrunched together, but we'll see.
Well, we're really fortunate to have Rob Mack on our 76 Capital Leadership Series. Again, follow Rob at Rob Mack NBA on Twitter, someone that you should definitely follow. And, one of the things I mentioned earlier is not only just a basketball trainer for the greats, whether it's Derrick Rose, Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, John Wall, Steph Curry, Kevin Love, but he's also the author of the book Network. And Rob, I mean, I really enjoyed your book. I love the fact that you kind of broke it down with the three different areas from, and the power of networking and how that all works. Maybe you could share with our audience a little bit about your book, and we can kind of dive in some of the stories. I love the stories you and Steph going to to China and all those different things you've done. You have great stories in there.
The book thing came pretty fast. I've been wanting to do one for a while. But I really never wanted to make it about me. As you know, on Instagram, with that guy to post everything and say that I made this guy better. It's just not who I am. And maybe it's something I should have done, and maybe, I have more followers and all that, but it's just not something I do. I don't take credit for anybody. And I always like to get credit and want to give me that credit. So the book thing I was kind of up and down with. Came a time, some publishers approached me, agents approached me, book agents, and said, you got to do a book, So I made it clear. I wanted to make it sure it wasn't how great I am. I want to make it about the players, the process, the ups and downs, make them look like real human beings, which they are. Get into the fun stories as you read. So I decided to do it. Simon & Schuster came in and said, we want to publish your book and all that. So I was very happy with that. And Seth Davis came on as the ghostwriter for me, which was great. And we interviewed every player, every almost every GM, agents. So that was really cool to kind of, even with Derrick Rose, we sat down for 2 hours, went over stories and got emotional, and stuff he's been through, with his body, mentally, and things like that. And so to go from, talk about when I went to high school in Rhode Island to training, 5 of 6 MVPs at one point, was really, really cool. So the book is just it's an easy read about stories about these players, what they do behind the scenes, what they do in the off season, what they go through when they have a bad injury, what they go through when they're the best player in the world one year, like a Derrick Rose MVP, to not really playing a lot for 5 years, in and out. That's quite a lot to take mentally. So, like you said, all the Asia trips to Steph. I've been there with Steph about 5 times. I've been on Nike tour in Europe with KD, and been to China with Derrick Rose twice. Been to Asia with K Love. So I've been lucky to be in a lot of these trips and see what it's really like to be them. And yeah, there's a lot of great things to it, but also, it's a lot of pressure. You always got to be on. But that's what they asked for, and that's what they're going to have to do. But when you have a bad day, we can go in our office and go on our phone, and they got to go out and smile, talk to the media, and shake hands and sign autographs. And one little mistake nowadays with social media, your career could be over. So it kind of it's always the book's about network.
Well, I mean, one of the things you talk about is one of the stories with Steph, and you mentioned, going to China. What was it like when you sort of set foot there with him, and what was the reaction of the people when they got to see him?
Yeah, I think the first year that we went was the year after he won MVP, and we took the Under Armour plane, which is cool and convenient, and we landed. I forget where. I think maybe Shanghai or Beijing or something, and to get up that plane and see like the people just high, at the fence at the airport trying to get to him, and Steph's so great with the fans. He went over and signed autographs for everybody. Security was like, no, you're not doing that right now, So yeah, it's a great experience. I ran all the clinics in every city. We'd usually do about 4 cities every trip. So we do 2 nights in each city, like Shanghai, Beijing. Then we go like Taiwan and Korea. A couple times with the Philippines. But I mean, I've been with D Rose, and he's right up there too. But Steph is is beloved there. I mean, big time. And we met with Yao Ming one time, and Yao had a great point. He said, "You're the most popular player here." Steph said, "How is that possible? You have LeBron, look at Kobe." He said, "Because you're 6'3" and lanky and skinny, and we can these people here can relate to you." It was a valid point. I mean, there's no one in overseas Asia that looks like LeBron James, right? So you can't really grow up in China and say, "I want to be LeBron James." You Steph Curry, you're lanky, you look skinny, you look not as strong and powerful guy like LeBron. So I thought that was a pretty good point. You don't really think of, but you could actually look at Steph and being a Chinese little kid and be like, I can be him one day. So, and again, Steph is so good with the fans. It's just who he is. He's, I know everyone says he's this great guy and all that. It's times 10. I mean, it looks in the eye. I mean, he's such a great leader, and that culture he's created at Golden State is all because of him. No one else. All because of him.
That's amazing. That's amazing to hear. And, I know that, Rob, you also, you mentioned Derrick Rose a couple of times, and you've had a really special relationship with him throughout his career. I mean, the ups, the downs, I mean, and the fact that he's still doing it. He's still out there, still fighting. I mean, what does it take for someone like that to continue to just come back and keep fighting?
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot to do with how he was raised. I think, he saw his mom raise, I think, 4 kids, 4 brothers on her own, and living in the bad area of Chicago. I think he knew early on how to fight, and all his brothers are older, and Reggie did a great job of really, being real with him. So I think when everything was so great for in high school and college and rookie of the year and MVP, and all of a sudden it was like bang. When you take your ACL, you usually come back, usually pretty fine, but then his other knee went, and this went, and his hips went, and ankles went. So that's a blow. And for him to push through like that, I mean, it's amazing. Not only to push through, but to come back and average, 18, 20 a game, last year, whatever it was, is amazing to me. And now it's crazy. We talk about it all the time how he's kind of like the OG now. He's on these teams, and he's the veteran. He's the guy that people are going to. And, the Knicks is great right now. He's helping these young players. The first thing he said, I think he did rather, when he landed in New York last week, or when he got traded, is that he sat down with Quickly and the kid Toppin, and at dinner said, "Whatever you guys need, I'm here for you." So it's kind of really cool to see him taking that role, but he's still a great role on the court too. So I don't think there's many guys that could have done what he did. He had the money to go retire and live a great life. So to push through like that in this 12th year now is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, one of the big things that we talk about on our 76 Capital Leadership Series, we talk about a lot of the different, the kinds of traits that make these guys great on the court or on the field, whether that's the passion, the desire, the drive, the persistence that it takes, to consistently get back up after getting knocked down or getting injured. And those similar kinds of traits that are then incredibly, that are transformable, or the same kinds of traits that you need to have to be successful as an entrepreneur, as a business person. If you want to be, an amazing business person, you need to have all those kinds of traits. And one of the amazing things is that, these athletes, and especially these NBA players, are playing at the highest of levels. They're doing these things from a mental perspective at the highest of levels as well. And you've gotten to see that across so many different guys. And I think that what, you're describing with Derrick and how he's now, looking to help these younger players is something that's absolutely incredible.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's and he enjoys it. That's the thing. Like he's the one, initiating that, and it's really helped the teams he's been on. And he knows his role. And most guys want MVP and every 20 a game would just be like, I want to start. You better start. Go to the media or tweet about it or something. He's just like, hey, whatever you need me here. I'm here. Whatever you want me to do, I'm here. I'll finish the game. I'll end the game. I'll come off the bench. I'll start. That's literally how he is. And so he's in a great place in his life. He has 3 great kids, great girlfriend, and he's really grown up a lot in the last 10 years. Like just mentally, how to take care of his body and all that. And I'm really proud of him.
One of the things that I think also really comes through in your book, and again, make sure that you take a look at Rob Mack's book, Network, training the NBA's best and finding the keys to greatness. I think is also talk about your relationship with these guys. And I think it was really special to read about your relationship with Kevin Love and all the things that he's gone through.
Yeah.
That must have been really must have been tough.
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is, I didn't really know what he was going through, and that's kind of the point that when he came out with it. The Play Tribune article he came out, and the way he did it was kind of surprising to me because you would think he tells people in a circle, but that was as he said. I asked him this, and he said that's the point of the article. Like I don't want to tell anybody. Like and then I knew it was close to me. I'm Kevin Love. I'm a world champion. I'm Olympic gold medalist. I have all this going on. I'm powerful. Nothing's wrong with me. And it's almost like he didn't want to let people down. That he had anxiety and depression, all that. So that was the point of everything that I didn't want to tell anybody. So here it is. I'm telling everybody. So I was really proud of him for that. And, you think maybe the article came out, that was it. And that was just the beginning of this avalanche of people coming out. DeMar DeRozan, I think Kevin sat down with Carson Daly, said he was, depression. And Michael Phelps said he was suicidal. And all these people that we look up to every single day go through some of the stuff that normal people go through. And that was the point of everything. And now Kevin is, this is going to be a part of his career from what I can see after he's done playing. He's spoken at Harvard and Stanford, all these schools, and really giving a good outlook and giving people the right to say this. It's okay, man. It's okay no matter what. We all go through as the article was called, we all go through something, and people think that those guys don't. And I think someone tweeted at DeMar DeRozan, like when he came out and said he was very depressed. Like, how are you depressed? Like you play in the NBA, you make $40 million a year. He's like, I don't care about that. I grew up with nothing. Like I'm still got to go home at night. I might park my Lamborghini, but I still got to go home at night. And be depressed. So none of that stuff matters. And I think they realize that more. I think when you come in the league at 2021, that's all you think about is the monetary stuff. But I think as they got older, they started to say, man, this means nothing. When I don't have my head right. So Kevin's helped a lot of people. A lot of people. They probably saved a lot of lives, honestly.
Well, Rob, one of the things that, you talked about, you mentioned this earlier, is, your book, as well as all the things that you get to do. You see these guys behind the scenes. You kind of see them at their most vulnerable points. You see them at their highest of points when they're, winning championships or traveling around the world for Nike or Under Armour. What are some of the other stories or things that you'd love to share with us? Is what it's been like to, be behind the scenes, be with these athletes in these different moments. Are there some sort of special stories or things that you'd like to share?
Yeah, definitely. I was at Game 7 of the finals, Warriors Cavs, and actually got lucky. I was in the NBA suite, with Adam Silver and everybody, and Kevin obviously won the championship that year with the Cavs, and he's on the court and he says, "Come down." So I run down, as fast as I could. And they're running into the locker room, and everyone's trying to get in. Jamie Foxx and Usher and all this stuff. And here's me, And Kevin says, "Get him in," and they yank me in. And next thing you know, I got rosé all over my body. I'm hugging him. I got a bottle down my mouth. I'm doing, it was just like, and I'm thinking, what is this? What that? What? It was Father's Day too, and I was like, I think maybe my first, second Father's Day, and I looked my kid in the eye and I said, "Ella, listen, not many Father's Day are gonna beat this. I'm sorry, but but it was just I just couldn't believe what I was going through. I was like, well, I'm in the championship locker room with Kevin Love right now. But the other side of it, I was training Steph, and this guy had one of the worst losses of his career. But the Steph story is even greater because he said to a good friend of mine who was Under Armour, he said, "Hey man, it's the toughest." Right after the game, most guys would be kicking a chair or just want to talk to nobody. He said, "Now you know what? I lost the game, we lost the championship, but I'm gonna go home, have a glass of wine, hang out with my wife, hang out with my child, and it's Father's Day. It's a great day." So I was like, "Wow," like talk about perspective. It's unbelievable, So when I heard that, I was like, "Wow, this guy." I knew it's great, but yeah, we lost the game. But I'm going home with my healthy family, see my daughter, have a glass of wine. and enjoy Father's Day. I was like, "Jeez, are you serious?" Like I felt bad for myself at that point. So, but that was just a cool moment for me because it kind of like me and Kevin had been through a lot, and he had a lot of injuries as well, and people said he was too heavy to play in the league and not be able to last and this and that. He changed his body. I give him all the credit for that with the nutrition and stuff. And he's one of my best friends in the world, regardless of basketball. And he's my son's godfather. So we're very, very close. And that was a moment I'll definitely never forget. He was, out of all the guys I trained, he was the first one to actually win a championship. I mean, I guess Steph was too, but as far as from the beginning of having all those guys, you would think like Kevin would have been first, Durant or Russell, and all the MVPs, but it was Kevin Love.
Wow. I mean, and you think about, all these different players that you've had the opportunity to work with and train, and you talked about how, Derrick Rose has gone from team to team to team. These guys get traded. John Wall, another one who just got traded, right? I mean, what's it like, when you talk with them about this? I mean, from a, do they talk with you about, going from this team to that team? I have to do this differently. You work with them in a different way, or how does that all play out?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely a soundboard for these guys. We talk about everything. But I think, listen, the league's changing a lot. The players that they run the league now, as you know. So the guys at that level are gonna go where they say they want to go most of the time. But yeah, I mean, we kind of they definitely asked me advice, or not even advice, just more like, "You think I'd fit in this system or with this coach or these players," kind of thing. But then I have, I get other calls like, "Oh man, my girl just broke up with me," kind of calls. So they vary a lot. But yeah, the league's different now, and it's tough. It's like these rosters are different every year. So for these fans, it's tough to follow a team because it's a different roster every year. I'm not even being dramatic, but most of the teams are different, and new guys come in the league, and new guys are going forever. I mean, talking about this the other day with somebody, Pablo Sol, like just out of the league. Just gone. The Hall of Famer. No one even talks about it. Just like basically didn't make a team this year, and so it's a new league. The young guys are running this league right now, besides the guy in LA 23. But I think the NBA is in good shape. But it's definitely different now with these all stars and these superstars asking for trades and getting it. And it's a time where I don't know where it's going to go. So it's kind of happening in football now too.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I mean, you look at like Brooklyn this year, right, where Kevin Durant is, right? I mean, what a roster, right? I mean,
Yeah.
And the amount of points that they're putting up, and
Oh yeah. They're be tough to beat. They won 6 in a row now, and they're just kind of coasting. I think those guys know that they don't need to be a 1 seed. If they're 2, 3, 4 seed, they're not worried about anybody. So they're going to be a tough team, and they can defend a little bit too. And they work together. I think as long as they stay healthy, it could be scary.
So is there one move, or was there one thing that you kind of work on across all the different players that you sort of see, like you see one of the Kevins, whether it's Durant or Love, make a move and you're like, yeah, that's the thing we work on all the time? Or
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big step back guy. I'm a big guy with creating space. So I think no matter what position you're in on the court, you can actually step back, whether it's mid post, high post, 3-point shooting. It's a tougher shot as you move further out. Obviously, with the step back and more balance, more strength in your legs. But Kevin was a good example of doing that early on. I mean, he came in the league as a post player, and as the NBA evolved, he had to kind of start to inch out to the foul line, 18 feet, 3-point line, and he was more of a 3-point shooter in Cleveland. He sacrificed a lot, numbers and all that stuff. And but now, if you don't, if you can't create space now in this league, make a jump shot, you're not going to stay in the league very long. This is what it is, And Philly's good, but if Ben Simmons can't make a jump shot or free throw, it's going to be tough to win a championship. It's going to be tough if Giannis can do that. It just is. And the playoffs is different. The defense is different. The scout report is different. So, I mean, Brook Lopez is a good example. I trained Brook on and off his whole career, going back to the 08 draft, him and Robin. And after, 3 years ago, he didn't have a team. He was a free agent. He was a little worried. So he decided that summer to hire me in LA, and we just worked on 3-point shooting. He gave me 7 for 1. That's all he wanted to work on. And he could shoot. It's not like he came in and I had this potion. I mean, I knew Brook very well. He's a very good shooter, but he never did shoot a ton of threes in his career. But he could make it, but he had to work on it. So he signed a minimum deal of like $2 million in Milwaukee. And that summer before he went to Milwaukee, that's all we did. Like 5 days a week for a good 10 weeks. And he goes to Milwaukee and he kills it. And he's making threes left and right, pick pop and spacing the floor. And then that next summer he signed for $54 million. So if he didn't work on his game, he didn't really extend his game. He might be in the league, but he'd be a minimum guy the rest of his career. So the game is changing, and my training has had to change a decent amount with guys like that and be able to shoot and working on stuff, that perimeter floor. And even college coaches now are starting to, really recruit guys that can shoot, so it's changed across the board. I mean, Steph really changed everything. She changed the game.
Yeah, there was nothing like a guy like Steph. I mean, the way he would shoot from all over, no matter where he was, right?
Unbelievable. I mean, in my lifetime, I'll never see a better shooter than him. I mean, not only can he do it at the catch, he can do it, the shots. He takes shots all the time. And the coaches, those shots are like, what are you doing? Oh, good shot. Good shot. He's ridiculous. It's next level stuff.
Well, has there been? Is there someone out there today, or that you would love to train, or you'd love to work with, or think you could really, really help? Is there?
That's a heck of a question. Ben Simmons is one guy I've always wanted to work with. Zion, I think I would love to work with. Zion's really, really good, obviously, but he doesn't have many moves. He bullies people and all that, and that works fine. But I think he needs to expand his game a little more. He can't just keep bullying people and all the time. And it's gonna become a point that athleticism is not there anymore. Or it's not as much as it was there. Like Blake Griffin right now, his athleticism is not as there what it was with the Clippers, and he's struggling right now. Luckily he became a better shooter, but Zion's gonna have to over time, definitely expand his game.
So I know for all the, Philadelphia 76ers fans out there, they keep hearing, you mentioned Ben a couple times, Ben Simmons, yeah. Right? I mean, you think you can make him into a shooter?
I mean, I think I can help Ben only because I experienced with John Wall, Westbrook, and Rose, and those three guys couldn't really shoot when they came into the league. I'm not taking credit, but I know what it takes, and I know you can't just change your shot. I mean, he's kind of trying to change his shot. And with Derek, Kevin, and John, Derek, Russell, and John, I wouldn't let them shoot a three in a workout for 2 years. I said, let's master the 15 feet spot for a 17 feet spot, and then move it out year 2, year 3, year 4, and finally we'll get to the 3. By year 6, that's fine. I know Ben's working on threes now every summer, but you can't go there yet. Let's master the mid range first, and then move it out. If you can't master mid range, why the heck do you think you can master out there? And he's not confident with shooting a three. Now, even when he shoots a three, he's not confident doing it. And I would need him to be confident shooting an 18-footer before he's confident shooting a three. But it takes time. Like a good example is Derrick Rose at 50 points a couple of years ago in Minnesota. It was very emotional. He was crying. The Minneapolis Tribune called me and said, "What'd you do last summer?" With him, I said, that game took 12 years. That game took 12 years to train, not one summer. And that's what it was. And I meant that. It wasn't just one random summer before year 11. It was everything. I met Derek when he was 16 years old. That's when I started training him, 16, 17 years old. So it took, 12, 13 years of training to get to that game of 50 points.
Well, I think it's really interesting. And I know you talk about this in your book Network about, you just exactly what you explained. You get good at your mid range before you go out to the three. I mean, I think that's really important. So,
patience.
I think that's patience is a great word, a great thing to really think about. So how do you, when you talk with, you mentioned earlier the young woman who's going to Connecticut, and you work with kids that are in, middle school, high school, right? I mean, you work with the young kids. What do you tell them? Like, when they go out there and they're standing out there at, NBA 3 range and trying to throw it up like Steph, and you're like,
I tell them what I kind of went through. I was doing that. I was 14. I'm shooting. I'm making threes, but next thing I'm 16 years old. I'm shooting from my hip, and I changed my shot. And the funny thing is, you and I grew up. We want to go to the court in the outdoor gym, outdoor court, and we want to go up and try to dunk, right? I don't know about you, but at least I
did. Yep. Of course,
so,
I did too.
Yeah. So Now kids, they come out to the court, they want to hook up 30-footers. It's the opposite because it's the Harden effect. It's the Steph Curry effect, Klay Thompson effect. So it's just a whole different generation. I really think in 15 years we're going to see ridiculous shooters. That's what kids want to do now. They want to shoot. They don't want to dunk on people anymore. It's crazy. So to answer your question, I mean, I just tell them, listen, Steph Curry, Ray Allen, Reggie Miller, all true. And I can sit there and say I trained Steph, and I can tell you what he does. And he starts from 2 feet out. Then he goes 4 feet out, 6 feet out. He doesn't come in the gym at 8 a.m. and start hooking up threes. He warms up and he makes 50 from here, 50 from here. We're half hour in, we haven't shot him free yet. So if he can do that and be patient, you can do it. And I just tell them, once you can master not only shooting a 15-footer, but shooting it from here, not down here, and using the legs, then we can talk. But until then, I tell kids in high school, don't even shoot a three until you're 16, until you're maybe a junior, unless you're mature body-wise. But most kids can't. They would say, I can reach it and went in. I'm like, yeah, you shot from your knee. Use all arms, So, I'm going through that, with my son now, and he's only 5, but he's screwed. I mean, he's got an NBA trainer. Kevin loves Godfather. He's got no choice. But I always tell him, it's here. Like Klay, just don't bring it down. I made it. I'm like, yeah, but you shot from here. So every kid's the same, but it's a different day and age. I mean, it really is. Every kid wants to shoot threes now. It's crazy.
It really is. It's a lot's changed, and you've seen a lot, and it's really great to have you, on our 76 Capital Leadership Series. I mean, Rob, I really appreciate you coming on. I think we could have this conversation all day.
Yeah.
I love all the things that you've done. I mean, as you've mentioned, you've talked about, training Derrick Rose and Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant, John Wall, Steph Curry, Kevin Love, and the list goes on. Loved hearing your story of, making the team at Syracuse, walking on, graduating in 2001. That relationship that you had with Jim Boeheim and all the different coaches and players that you played with has really, been amazing within your career. It's all about what you talked about you talk about in your book, Network. It's about relationships. It's about building those relationships, whether that's on the court, off the court. You've given some great advice to our listeners and viewers out there, and really appreciate it, and wish you and your family the best of luck out there, and stay safe through all these times. And hopefully we'll get a chance to get together in person soon.
Yeah, hopefully. And I really appreciate you having me on, and, good luck with your family too. And hopefully we can hang out soon.
Absolutely. Well, this has been great having Rob Mack on our show. Again, follow Rob Mack at Rob Mack NBA, and tune in to all of our 76 Capital Leadership Series shows across all the different social media networks out there, as we bring on the top entrepreneurs, athletes, as well as executives in the sports industry who are really moving things forward and pushing things forward and trying to make this world a better place. Stay with us for all of our different shows. Again, Rob, thanks so much, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, Wayne. Appreciate it.